Hello, my name's AJ, and this is a story about a little ruby-throated hummingbird, female, that got caught in my neighbor's garage and couldn't get out. And what it looks to me like, it went into a state of torpor. By the way, that's me at Wild Birds Unlimited about a week ago. So this is the little female after I got her back to my house and put her in a safe box where she could recover. This is right before I put her in the box, and my neighbor drove me back over to my house where I already had sugar water and a safe place. And I'm not familiar with this. I've read about a hummingbird being in a state of torpor. When there's lack of food or it's cold, they slow their bodies down. But I've never seen it myself. So this was a new experience. So here's the story. And in this video, from this point on, it takes about 35 minutes for this bird to recover. And it's a happy ending. So here's the story. My neighbor texted me that morning around 8 o'clock and told me the different things she had tried the day before, and she saw that it was still in her garage. So within about an hour, I stopped by and I saw the little bird was up on a wire close to her ceiling. I used a broom. It didn't move, so I climbed up on a ladder and I gently removed it from the wire, and it made a few squeaky sounds, but it didn't try to fly. So I took it out in the sunlight. I took a picture really quick, which I'm very glad that I did, because in the photo you can see that it had a lot of spider webs around its beak and on its feathers. Now at the time, my first thought was, this is a female hummingbird, a female ruby-throated hummingbird. She has little white tail feathers that indicate she's a female or she's a juvenile. And I thought she was probably gathering spider webs to build a nest. And maybe she was. It did get pretty cold that night, probably around the 40s. And she was in the garage and she didn't have food for a long time. So those things combined, exhaustion, no food, cold, I believe she went into this state of torpor. I'm not an expert, what little I know about hummingbirds or knew at the time, that was my thought. So I called my friend Bill, and he returned my call pretty quickly, and we discussed the situation. And I told him that she had pretty many little spider webs on her and around her beak that I had removed. And he asked me if I had checked her, maybe under her wings, maybe I should, take a peek. So I did that. I gently lifted up her little wing, and her one wing did have a little more spider webs under there. So I gently pulled that off. She didn't really move much. I read that when they're in this state, it can take 20 minutes to an hour for them to wake up. You don't want to try to force feed them or anything like that. And from a reputable source online, I read you could dip a Q-tip in sugar water. And when I say sugar water, I mean 1 part sugar to 4 parts water. Or you could take a little bit on your finger and just put it at the end of their beak, and they may drink. They may drink from, that moisture on your finger or Q-tip. I did that 4 or 5 times, and she never licked or never stuck her tongue out, but I saw her beak open a little bit a couple times. So what I ended up doing is I had a great big box. It didn't have a top on it. And I put a feeder close to her, and my friend Bill, that I refer to as an expert on hummingbirds, and by the way, he had just done a presentation on hummingbirds at Wild Birds Unlimited in Lexington, Kentucky, days before this. So that's why I call my friend Bill Kearney an expert. He suggested I get maybe a stick or two that she could sit on. If I could get her closer to the opening of my garage. I said it was really windy, but he said maybe instead of having her deep in the garage because she had been stuck in the neighbor's garage, if I could, maybe have her safely more towards the opening so when she comes to, she could fly out. So I had this big open box. I had put paper towel in there so she could have traction. I did get a couple sticks, as you can see here, and she did latch her little claws onto the stick. So I was happy about that. And the feeder that I have here had a camera built into it, and I had just set that up a few days before this, and it came in very handy, as you can see. So I have her in a box. She's strong enough to want to clasp onto that little branch, and there's sunshine coming in so she can naturally, start to warm up. And as you'll see, she does start to move, little by little. And what I believe this shows is actually her waking up from this state of torpor. And I may not even be pronouncing that correctly. But eventually you'll see her kind of move her head. You'll see her little tongue come out. And basically you'll get to see a happy ending here towards the end of this video. But for maybe anyone that studies birds or hummingbirds, or maybe is in grad school or in college, or maybe you're in grade school and you just read a book about hummingbirds. I didn't know about this state they can go in until I was an adult, like older. Probably in the last 5 years is when I first heard about this. And that sometimes they slow their body down so much, you could even find them hanging upside down on a branch. And if you didn't know about this, you might think they were sick or dying. But as you can see, she just had a little burst of energy. This made me so happy. I was able to watch this whole thing, this whole event with her on my phone live as it was happening. And I was just fascinated to see, this tiny, tiny little bird, that she almost doesn't weigh anything. I mean, when you feel them in your hand, there's just no weight there. And it's just such a little feathery miracle that they're, able to slow their bodies down, slow their heartbeat down, slow their metabolisms down to survive certain conditions when there's no food, or they're, exhausted, or it's too cold, or all the above. Something else I'll share with you that my friend said maybe what happened is if when she flew into the garage, if she had her wings wide open and flew head on, wings open into a large spider web, that could have caused her a problem too. That was just some thoughts that we were talking about. Well, for the next 24 minutes, this female ruby throat hummingbird, she will drink a little bit, move her wings. You'll see her tongue come out. She'll move her body and her head back and forth, back and forth. And it's her strength coming back, I believe. I think her body temperature's slowly rising. There's a little bit of sun coming in on her. And she's coming out of the torpor state, is what I think I'm seeing here. Please, if you are a student of ornithology or researcher on hummingbirds, or anyone out there that knows a lot more than I do, and you see things in this video that are clues and tips that I don't see, I would love to hear from you. I want to learn more. I want to always do what's best when, you know, a bird needs help. I do know about there are wildlife rehabilitators around. I did not think this was one of those situations, and it clearly wasn't. But I have reached out in other cases, and I have taken injured birds to a nearby wildlife rehabilitator. I wish there were more of those. So I hope you enjoy observing this precious little female ruby-throated hummingbird that hopefully flew back over to the neighbors and continued on with her nest building, or perhaps she's already got eggs. I don't really know. This happened on May 13th, just a couple days ago, and we are in northern Kentucky, and my neighbor lives a walking distance away, so I know she would have found her way back to her nest if she started that process here. Anyway, thank you for listening. Like I said, this video goes on. It says on the video upper right-hand corner right now, 10:17, and you will see around 10:38 is when she leaves the box all on her own. Thank you for listening, and if you would like to see more bird stuff, bird videos, bird pictures, bird reels from northern Kentucky, I post on Birds with AJ on Facebook and Instagram, and it's just things I like to share, and you may find something there that you're interested in. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Wasn't that just the most beautiful sight?